Welcome to the show, everybody. It's the Crypto Lark. Today, we're going to be talking about IoT Chain, light operating system for the IoT age. We're going to be getting into just what IoT Chain is proposing after a quick shout out to everyone who's been hitting that like button. Of course, everyone who's been subscribing to the channel. Big thank you to all of the old subscribers. Big welcome to all of the new subscribers. If you're not subscribed yet, make sure you hit that button down below to stay up to date with all of the latest in the crypto space. Or the bell. Furthermore, this is of course not professional financial advice. This is just a dude talking about cryptocurrencies on the internet. Let's get into it. Now, this is the community coin of the week, beating out Fusion, Bluezell, and Elf with 40% of the vote. So well done to the IoT Chain community for activating. Before we get into just what IoT Chain is and what they're doing, I want to give a little bit of background into the importance of the Internet of Things. This is going to be massive. By 2020, there's going to be more than 50 billion connected devices. The implications for this are just massive. Smart parking, smart lighting, smart waste, smart roads, air pollution monitoring, early earthquake detection, water monitoring, flood monitoring, smart energy, smart water, smart everything, guys. The potential here is absolutely amazing. Logistics, industrial control, machine sensors, air quality, machine-to-machine communication, agriculture, even golf courses. Why not? They'll get on the bandwagon too. It's huge, guys. Everything is going to be tracked. Everything is going to be communicating with each other. It's going to be more efficient. We're going to save money, and we're going to have better outcomes. And of course, save time. There are so many amazing applications for this. It's crazy. And at the forefront of all of this, China. China is going to be a huge player in this. Not only are they the world's industrial powerhouse, they're producing a huge amount of chips, a huge amount of technology, and a huge amount of mines as well, which is an important part of the equation when we're talking about IoT Chain. Now let's try and break down a little bit here what the guys over at IoT Chain are trying to do. Now, even though it is a Chinese team and they're focused on the Chinese market, they're registered in Singapore. I think that's important to point out, so there's no legal hurdles that they have to worry about necessarily by being a cryptocurrency project. Now, they're offering a hybrid model, so a DAG with PBFT. What is all that, Lark? Well, a DAG is a directed acyclic graph. So this is similar to what IOTA is using. And PBFT is practical Byzantine fault tolerance. Essentially, this is aiming to make it fast and secure. There will also be steps to protect your data ownership in here. They're also using SPB, which is simple payment verification. I think that speaks for itself. They're also going to be doing hardware chips. So this is not just a software implementation, this is also a hardware implementation, which is a very interesting part of the equation here. Now, the main focus here is on security, stability of the network, controlling your own data, and they'll also be using AI and promoting the development of artificial intelligence via the data that's collected through all these machines communicating with each other. All kinds of interesting implications can be brought into play here. We have transport, we have energy, medical care. They give some funny examples. For example, in Singapore, they're going to be working with an umbrella sharing cooperative, which is kind of interesting. So there's all kinds of different implications here. This is highly scalable as well. Currently, the testnet's doing 10,000 transactions per second. This will be scalable up to 100,000 transactions per second once we see the mainnet launch, which is pretty impressive, without a doubt. Now, the token is not just going to be a carrier of value, but it'll also be proof of ownership, or perhaps right to use. So let's imagine that you want to get a bike from a bike sharing cooperative. Well, you send your value using ITC tokens, and then you have the right to use based on that ITC token. So that's an interesting implementation there. All connected devices will generate data. That data can then be sold for ITC tokens. So companies can come in and say, hey, we really want to know about umbrella usership behavior in Singapore, or we want to know about bike sharing behavior in Shanghai. They'll buy the data. That's pretty cool. There's also the option to reveal your identity in some cases, because there'll be situations where companies might want to know, well, who is doing all this? So usually it will be private, the data. So there'll only be sort of the more metadata, who did what when. But if you want to reveal that, that might also be a possibility. They didn't talk about any extra added incentives for that, but that's also an option. There will be something called witness nodes. So there won't be a master node system, but there will be witness nodes. Currently, this is an ERC20 token. There will be a swap over for the mainnet when the mainnet does come out. This will be a fee-based system too. I think that's important to point out. So if you want to transfer value, so if you want to send $10 worth of ITC tokens to pay for your bike, that incurs a fee. But for example, taking the bike off of the magnet rack and putting it back on the magnet rack does not incur a fee, or nor does turning off or turning on smart lights, for example. But sending the data that that smart light has generated and trading that in for your monetary value, that will incur a fee. Now they're promising very low fees. We don't have the specifics on exactly how low those low fees are going to be, but that's something to keep an eye out for. The team, we've got 4 core team members and 11 developers currently. They're also promising that they're hiring more developers continually. If you look at the guys here, though, we've got some really great experience on the team. You know, one guy's translated the book on mastering Bitcoin, which is of course nice, but if you really look at it, they've got solid foundations in blockchain, in IoT, in development. We have Ding here, for example. He is 12 years experience in developing firmware for chips. That is of course very important because they are offering hardware chips, guys. That is an important part of the IoT Chain picture. Going down through the advisors here, again, we've got some really solid advisors working with them. The vice president of a lighting company, which will be planning, of course, to use ITC. We've got the guy who is running China's biggest Ripple and Stellar gateway. Of course, I wonder how well that project is going at the moment. That's a different story. But looking at some of the investment as well, we've got a lot of good investment firms here. Fembushi Capital, for example, has invested in IoT Chain amongst others. And not only do we have positive media coverage, but we also have a lot of partners already signing up. For example, a company called Adzar Energy and Gizwatts, or is that Jizwatts? Hard to say. Anyway, we do have quite a few partners already signing up too. Obviously, I think we'll see a lot more of those coming out over the year as time moves on. They also have won a Blockchain Excellence Award at the Davos World Economic Forum. That's pretty cool. I'll take the award. Now, looking at the timeline moving forward, the team promises that they're actually ahead of their timeline at the moment, but this is the current timeline that we are operating on. So we are going to see the main chain wallet tests coming in May, the DAG structure testing coming later in the year, and we will see the main network early 2019, but the team is actually saying they are months ahead of schedule here. The thing I know you guys all want to know is, well, Lark, that's all great, but how does it compare to IOTA? Well, I'm glad that you asked. Essentially, there are some main features that we compare and contrast here. For example, IoT Chain has a lot of features about data ownership. So you own your data, you can sell your data. IOTA doesn't. IoT Chain has a fee for transferring value. IOTA doesn't. IoT Chain is still in testnet. IOTA is not. And perhaps one of the most interesting and large differences, I think, comes in that the guys at IoT Chain are going to be producing their own microchips and offering plug-and-play solutions. Literally, put our microchips into your device, and you're already there. You can interact with the network that easily. Whereas IOTA does not offer a hardware solution, and they require any company that wants to use them to self-develop that in. I think there's a lot of positive to be said for both of those models. I could definitely see the companies that, for example, IOTA works with saying, well, we're happy we can develop the integration. That's not a problem. Whereas I can also see some other companies saying, we don't care about developing this stuff. Give me the microchip. I'm going to put it in my toaster. And I'm done. So there's definitely advantages here for both. Now, some other concerns you might want to think about with IoT Chain. Currently, yes, we have a testnet running, but as far as running a mainnet successfully, that is yet untested. They are, of course, promising that this can scale up to 100,000 transactions per second, but time will tell. The GitHub isn't too full of information at the moment. There is some there, but they promise to release more and more code as they have it finished. So they are keeping it private or semi-private for the moment, and will release more later. As far as the timeline goes, the space is moving very fast, but the team is ahead of schedule as mentioned. But we still need to see that mainnet release come. I think there's a lot of opportunity here. And one other thing I want to mention too is that DAGs are quantum resistant, or at least promise to be quantum resistant. That, again, we'll have to wait and see how the future actually plays out. It's one thing to promise quantum resistance. It's another thing to actually see how that will play out. Technology can develop very fast, and of course they will have to develop in response to that technology moving forward. I think this has got a good team. They've got good connections within China. They've been getting good press. There is definitely room in this space for many players. IOTA is not going to capture all of the global business for the IoT market. That would be crazy to assume that. There's definitely room for the guys from IoT Chain to have a real impact. They're different enough. They've got really good potential here, and it's still low key. I think that's something that's important to point out here. IOTA currently is a multi-billion-dollar market cap coin. IoT Chain, $72 million market cap, and the volume is good. $9 million volume in the past 24 hours. People are buying or selling. But nevertheless, people are into it. People are moving in and out of it. The volume is good, so I think that's really great. If you want to pick yourselves up some, now's not a bad time either, because the current price is only marginally above the opening day price when it first hit CoinMarketCap. So that is something that is quite noteworthy. I think we did have a big run up of IoT Chain back in January, reaching over $9. I think we'll see a run up like that again. If the team can deliver, especially ahead of schedule on their mainnet, I think that's very valuable. So we'll have to see how the situation develops, but at this price, I think this has a lot of potential to grow moving forward. But hey, that's just my opinion of a dude talking about cryptocurrencies on the internet. What do you guys think about IoT Chain? Does it have great potential? Let me know about it in the comment section down below. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.